have Kalani Sitake. Kedon Slovis, big Brigham Young quarterback, joins us. By the way, are you going to be Cody Epps' vice president? Because he could run for president. He seems to have all of that.
I always mess with him. He's like a politician. He talks to everyone. You should see him in Provo. He's like the mayor. He knows everybody, and everyone's gravitated towards him. It's pretty impressive.
He was fun to listen to, I tell you.
Yeah.
I really do. So you're there. You're here. You're at Brigham Young, and a lot of movement that you've dealt with over your career. Why Brigham Young? Why Provo? And how's it been for you to settle in?
Yeah, I think just the offense is what attracted me. Going into my last year, trying to decide, hey, what do I want to do going into my last year? Do I want to stay and play this offense, or do I want to play an offense that I'm more comfortable in, that gives me an opportunity to throw the ball a little bit more? And, it's kind of what I'm used to. And I kind of knew the opportunity to present itself. I got to meet Aaron Roderick, our offense coordinator, and it just clicked. Like, I knew I was like, I'm not sure, about all these other factors the other schools have, but I know for sure, like, I want to play for this coach, and I think I'll have success playing for him.
You've been in the portal twice, and ideally you don't want to go in the portal once, right? You wanted to stay in Southern Cal where you were, again, and things happen. What is it like to have to do that 2 times? And was it easier the second time?
It's never fun or easy, but it's hard because you have so many relationships with people in the building, and it's never fun to leave a place. But at the end of the day, like, you have to make a selfish decision. And I think for me, going into that last year again, I was like, look, if I don't take this opportunity and I'm here again next year, unhappy with where I was, I'd be like forever kicking myself because I never gave myself the opportunity that I really wanted. And never I never committed to a coordinator that I got to play for until here at BYU. That's never happened. I've never got to be in part of the recruiting process and know the type of players are going to be there on the field. Like Jordan Addison's supposed to be with me at Pitt. He didn't end up being there, right? So like stuff like that happens, and I felt like the opportunity at BYU, I just had so much more control over it. And again, it's never easy. But I think, especially after the first time doing it, I was like, look, like, I don't really care about the outside perception. I'm going to do what's best for me. And again, for the love of the game, I want to enjoy my last year and do it on my terms.
So outside perception could be in this era specifically of like very player friendly. And it is to an extent more than it ever has been, but you kind of do whatever. But I mean, you just detailed like you had to deal with not playing with necessarily who you thought you were going to play with or play for and all of that. So how much has that made you grow as a man, these experiences and just the whole, trying to learn who you are, but also learn what the best fit is for you as a person, as a player?
Yeah. And again, I think I still would have made the same decision I did the first time, but sometimes stuff just doesn't work out. And it really just teaches you to be secure with yourself and trust your judgment. And it's not easy when everyone's telling you one thing or other people want to sway you a certain direction. But again, like, I didn't have an offense coordinator even when I signed at Pitt. Like, I didn't know who the offense coordinator would be. So, certain things you kind of get, feel like you have to pull the trigger on certain things. But at the same time, again, if it doesn't work out, you're going to do everything you can to kind of make it right.
So let's look at, I know it's now with Brigham Young and the Big 12 and what you have ahead of you, but the NFL scouts are going to ask you that question, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
And you need to give them the answer. I'm not telling you what to do.
No,
but
I've been told that.
If you're honest, that's the answer. That would allow them to understand the movement.
Yeah, definitely. And that's something like I had to come to terms with too. Like, hey, if it's your career, like, do you want to put your stamp on it? And again, I think I'd rather, looking back, like when I was deciding to transfer, I was like, I'd rather make that decision to pull the trigger and go that and bet on myself than stick around and do something I don't feel great about. And that's, I'm happy to tell anyone that asks me or questions my judgment, hey, I bet on myself and this is what I want to do. And, the same, like, I was telling someone the other day, I don't know if you know John Beck, he's my quarterback coach. Mm-hmm. And I was talking through this whole thing and he almost said, like, look, you have a Senior Bowl invite. You're almost doing it for you. You're not necessarily doing it for, anything else. You're doing it for you and for you to enjoy your last year of college football. So I think that's, if anyone listening, trying to understand the thought process, like, I want to have fun and love the offense I'm playing in my senior year.
Well, let's talk about that offense and that fit for you and how you went through it. Big offensive lineman, power, take a lot of pressure off of you. You really, a lot of times when it's going well in that wide zone, you don't really know what's kind of coming at you. What did you like about it and attracted you from the previous systems you'd been in?
Yeah, it's all stuff I'm familiar with, like conceptual wise, like playing the air raid at SC. There's a lot of concepts that carry over. I think the thing that takes it to another level is all the screens, all the running game, all the play action. We move the pocket a lot, and that even some quarterback runs in there too. I think that again kind of protects quarterback even better, and our O-line's really good, and that's a big reason why is they're put in a position to have success. We have so many different protections. we don't have just basic 5-man, 6-man protections. We mix it up a ton, more so than any offense I've ever been a part of. It's really incredible. And again, shout out to Coach Roderick just for allowing me the opportunity to play in such a great offense.
So had you previously been a part of any kind of a media days event like this? Had you?
Yeah,
prior?
USC 2021 Pac-12 media day.
Oh, so this isn't exactly like a brand new type of thing, but what are just your kind of impressions of being in AT&T Stadium where the Cowboys play and under the roof and all those types of things?
So we weren't in the AT&T Stadium last time I was at media day. We were in some hotel, and it was a lot longer and less. I mean, when you're doing interviews here, it's a lot more rewarding for sure.
Yeah.
So no, this is a lot bigger than the last media day I was a part of, but it's been a good time. It's been pretty cool. We had a nice little break in between too, and got to walk around, the other parts of the stadium. But yeah, this is pretty impressive.
I should know this, but how often have you played in your career a team out of the Big 12?
One time, I think. I think West Virginia last year.
Okay,
I think that was the
against
only
at
time.
Pitt, right?
At Pitt, yes, sir.
Yeah. So you don't
rivalry.
have a
Rivalry game, first game of the year.
Well, yeah. What's
That's a little heated.
What's that like right out of the box? Usually you get to build a rivalry.
Yeah.
USC, you kind of build. You get 4 or 5 games in before you get up on the first one. Yeah, whatever. But Pitt, like last year, you're at Pitt right out of the box. It's like, oh, by the way, here's your first game, and everybody wearing either color either hates you or loves you and will flip depending on how the game goes.
It was pretty wild. And the thing is, we played them, and the next week we played Tennessee. It was like, all right, we got we're just going into this thing trying to figure out who we are. And it was a really cool environment though. It was really fun, and thank goodness we won. But it was a pretty wild experience because we didn't. I don't think we really found a rhythm that game until halfway through the fourth quarter, and that's like, again, game 1, even game 2 sometimes is meant to be, your game to find yourself and your identity and build some confidence. But yeah, you're just throwing the fire is pretty different experience for sure.
I know you as players have to look at it a lot differently than the media does because we can, imagine all these different things or whatever. But how much is the conversation just amongst players talking about, hey, we're in the Big 12 now, we're going to be playing so-and-so and so-and-so, and we're going to be in a league? Is that something that matters or is top of mind for you guys, or is it just so strictly focused on the task at hand that it doesn't matter what league or who you're playing necessarily?
Somewhat. I think we know the standard's risen a bit, but we also have a ton of transfers. I think half the team is new to the team. And I think we have like 20-plus transfers. So a lot of guys are used to Power 5 play or have played a ton of football, Group of 5. And also, like at BYU and Independence, it wasn't like they play Baylor, and they played probably 5 or 6 Power 5 teams a year. But the difference is not doing week in, week out. You have a Power 5 game, then you play, a Group of 5 team. But again, I think the biggest thing is just being ready for that, competition week in, week out. It's not like you have a week against any lesser opponent. This league top to bottom is pretty legit. Did
Brigham Young recruit you when you came out of high school and went to USC?
No.
Was that a part of the conversation at all?
No. Well, I don't know if Coach Roddick was there until right after I signed to USC. I think he came a little bit later. But yeah, I know I went to USC, but I was kind of like, I didn't. It was only a 3-star recruit. It wasn't like I had all these offers.
Only a 3-star recruit.
Well, usually like JT Daniels was before me. He had everyone in the country.
Well, he's moved around a little bit too, though.
He has also moved around a little bit, no doubt.
Is it hard to understand even how, as you mentioned, player friendly college football is right now with the transfer portal and NIL and all of the things that go with it?
Yeah, it's a different game than the one I committed to. Like I think about when I was a freshman, the transfer portal didn't exist, NIL wasn't even close to a thing, and now it's like a completely different ball game. Guys are transferred like me, like it's their 3rd school, and guys are on the 6th year too with COVID. Like everything's kind of crazy right now. But again, especially the transfer portal, I'm grateful for the opportunity. Just because again, like at USC, like your coach gets fired, you're probably stuck. Probably playing in a system that doesn't fit you. You're probably gonna get recruited over. You're probably done, or you have to sit out a year while you transfer. And that kind of allowed me the opportunity to hopefully find a better place for me.
Was Graham Harrell at USC when you were there?
Yeah.
We know of him, a great Texas legend.
Yeah, that's my guy. I love Graham.
Married to my sister's best friend, actually.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know Brittany pretty well, too.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So in 2020 during COVID, I actually stayed with Coach Harrell here in Dallas because everything was closed in Phoenix. So, yeah, we're pretty tight. He didn't recruit me because he got Cliff – weird deal, but so the O staff kind of got fired at USC, and then they hired Cliff Kingsbury, and then that's when I came. Cliff left a couple weeks later to go to Coach Cardinals, and then we didn't know who was going to be there. A month later, Graham signed. So Graham came a month after me, and somehow we just hit it off. Like, I didn't know who my OC was going to be, but we felt a pretty good relationship.
How do you think he'll do in the Big Ten at Purdue? Do you think they're ready for that kind of offense that he's got?
I hope so. I mean, Purdue's the basketball on grass, right? Like they of the Big Ten schools, they probably want to throw it around the most historically, but I hope he has success. I'm rooting for him. Like him and Seth Daggy, like Stanton Keen's up there too. He's a tech guy, but all those guys, like I love those guys so much, and it's really a shame like it didn't work out at USC and the way it did. But yeah, I love those guys and wish them the best.
So we were talking to Cody a second ago, and he mentioned running into Steve Sarkisian. And I asked him, like, did you know him as the BYU quarterback or more as the head coach? and BYU, beyond him, obviously, is I'm sure you're well aware, the quarterback history. How much were you aware of that, or how much have you learned about that maybe since stepping on campus?
So I knew him as the USC coach previously.
Well, yeah.
And then I didn't – like I kind of knew, but I didn't really realize until I got to school. Even a guy like Max Hall, I knew him as the Arizona Cardinals guy, being an Arizona kid. Like, so all these guys, I'm like, oh, shoot, he went to BYU. He went to BYU. I didn't realize Steve Young went to BYU either. Like, there's so many great guys. Jim McMahon. I didn't know. Yeah.
Ty Detmer. Gifford Nielsen. Yeah, I met Gifford 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, it's pretty wild, the QB, like, history. And because, again, when you're at USC, they tell you, oh, this is QB, is all stuff. Sure.
And then I went to BYU. It was like a whole different level I didn't even know about. And again, it's where like the passing game really started with Giff, starting before the West Coast and before the area existed. That's kind of what originated. It was pretty special to be a part of it.
And not to knock USC, but like, BYU can say like, look, we do see your Matt Leinart and raise you as Steve Young.
Yeah, no, it's a little, and it's been going on since 75 too.
Oh, yeah.
So it's been going on a minute. Not to knock USC, obviously, but it's pretty special.
Hey, good luck. Good to have you. Appreciate the transparency on what you've dealt with. Didn't realize that the coordinator and all that. Sometimes people don't look at that. So we're glad you shared that with us, and good luck with the first year in the Big 12 and also your last year of college football and onward as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys having me.
Kedon Slovis, quarterback, Brigham Young. This is 365 Sports.
In our logo and advertising.